again with another reaction video, and this time I'm going to talk about one of my favorite performances ever. I think this thing has 133,992 views, and I think I've put probably 992 views of them myself. I'm talking about Yamuleé and Esa Mujer. So we're going to watch this video. We're going to get right to it, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what I'm seeing, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So let's get to it. So right off the bat, this is something that was, I'm not saying it was copied one way or the other. As a matter of fact, this is not true. So back in the day when I first started watching salsa videos on an old DVD tape, what was I gonna say? I remember watching an old Santo Rico routine, and they would start like this gangster piece, and they would have these voiceovers and stuff. And you know, it could be so tricky because that could come off corny. But on the same token, when I watched it, I'm like, yo, that's dope. And they were like doing mad swag and mad New York, like that New York attitude. So it ended up working really good. Now, that being the case, he's leveled up this because now he's doing a lot dancier intros, for lack of a better way to say it. So it looks really nice and I love it. And one thing I want to say is that it's funny because some of you might know this, but I did used to train in ballroom a little bit. And we did a dance that would be like appropriate for that music, but he's doing it in such a way where it's almost like he's making up steps to the song and still doing it within their style, which I think is dope because it's almost like I'm hearing this song and I'm just randomly doing it the way I feel. So I think that's dope as well. I know he's probably doing it on a rhythm. I'm not watching it that close, but I definitely appreciate the level of contrast between the opening and the rest of the piece. Let's get to it. We're here off a little bit in the background there with that third couple. Karen was so good with Yamuleé, man. I'm biased because like I love the team and I have my favorites, and I won't say anything because it might come off the wrong way, but for sure Karen's top 3 ever in the Yamuleé girls. And there's my man Rasove right there doing his thing. I met Rasove several times. I'm really cool with him. I love that guy. He's the nicest person in the world. Look at her giving all them facials. So this is something that you guys might not know, but when Yamuleé does transitions, they refer to it as a jamboree. And it's just kind of like these set aside moments where they're like, okay, well, we're going to keep this stationary for a minute, but then at this moment, for like however many bars, we're allocating this moment to move around the stage and make it look interesting. So I love how Osmar always takes that opportunity to keep moving the pieces so they just don't look so static, because to me, that's really important. That shows the maturity of a company. For example, like the maturity of the company, because they're in tune with moving around a lot and not thinking of themselves as being stationary all the time, but also the directors constantly exploring movement, which I think is dope. That power, man, coming out of that crossbody is so dope. And these patterns aren't that complicated if you really watch them. It's just the way they're doing them. They've got snap on them. That's why it's so powerful. So this piece, I'd have to look back, but I think it's kind of an old, well, it is an older piece, but I think this video was recorded sometime in like, I gotta look back. Hold on, I'm gonna look real quick because this is kind of relative to my point. Yeah, 2009 this video is from, right? So this means 11 years ago they were doing stuff of this quality. And honestly, right now, I would say 90% of teams come out with this performance, just like this exactly. It would be like, who the hell are those guys? Where the hell did they come from, right? So this is a testament to how far ahead Osmar was in the game. I've had conversations with him, and he would talk to me a lot about the patterns and how they came to be, and just him thinking about like, well, what if I turned on this time or on this time, and kind of changing it up so not so static, not static, because I love Eddie. I took class from Eddie for like a year or so. but more traditional, I'll say. Like Eddie's got the traditional 6/7 style, but Osmar kind of blew that out a little bit. And what you'll notice in these older videos is that it's still getting refined. And nowadays, they look faster than they did back then. It's partly because the women don't move around as much. It's a little bit more stationary than it was back then. In this performance, they look like they're traveling a little bit more. So the speed doesn't look the same. And that's something when I was, as I've been, choreographing more and more, that I've been looking at, because something that I've noticed a lot about the teams here at home in Chicago is that we were dancing to fast music, but for some reason we didn't look like we were going fast. And I'm like, why is that? Where is that snap? And it's in the fact that some of these movements are more stationary. You know what I mean? So because of that, I could tell, like just looking at it, like it's still dope. Don't get me wrong, it's dope as hell. But looking at it, I could just see how he's refined what he's doing. You know what I mean? And it goes without saying that all their pieces are so musical. It's one of the things that I love about their pieces. And one of the guys on my team has always made a comment. I guess it's a testament to how I'm doing it, because I'm really trying to be more musical about the choreo. But he was saying that if he ever gets lost in the piece, the music is telling him where to go. And I would imagine that that's true of the dancers, the Yamuleé. Like, it's not just random choreo, it's a thing to the song. You know what I mean? So that's a really good way to as a dancer to get in touch with the movement, because it's just happening from the music, which is dope. Love all those facials, man. So to the music. Look at that. Uh. And that's kind of a weird move, right? With that leg up. Let's go back for a second. Look at this. I always thought that was a weird move, but somehow they make that thing work. Look at that. Who would have thought to like trap the lady's leg right there? But that's so dope. You can see all the girls, they have different levels of flexibility in this piece, right? But they're still all doing it. And the guys are strong as hell too to make that happen. Lord have mercy. Okay, so I have to be honest. I've watched that moment probably the 900 times, even if I haven't watched that whole piece. So watch this again. Watch this. Oh no. Look at that. Right there. Look at her body. Look at her lip. I'm going to be like really extra if I really react the way I want to react every time I see that. But I'm just going to let you guys know that I really like that part. So let's move on. You know what? I've never actually looked at Osmar on that part. Look at him. All swaggy and shit. Look at him. Like he doesn't care. Like I did that because that's so easy for me. Okay, so here's something that I'm confessing right now, and you guys will hear a lot of this as I watch these things, because I'm bringing it back to how I, as a choreographer, things that I see other directors doing great, and then things I'm like, man, like how are they doing that? And this is something I have to explore, like on my list of things to do. But I will say, Osman never looks out of breath, man. These things look fast. These aren't easy pieces to dance. You know what I'm saying? And I've actually been fortunate to sit in on a couple of rehearsals, and these guys are drenched in sweat. They work hard. And this is a huge thing that the people who've come from Yamuleé, that's like a hit maker factory, man. That's like back in the Motown days when they would just make hit after hit and all these stars would be coming out. The reason Yamuleé is so, I think personally, the reason they're so successful with the people who leave is not because of the training, it's more because of the work ethic, because all of them mugs are used to being there like 4 to 5 days a week. So they end up thinking of it very professionally and they're used to working hard. So that's just part of the process. That being said, we've adopted a lot of those practice habits, and I'm noticing it in myself because I mean, the pieces that I'm picking and the songs that I'm choosing are fast. But I'm not gonna lie, after the third or fourth or fifth run of it, I'm dead ass. I am done. Like I'm like, put a fork in me, I'm done. And he's just sitting there looking like he just got off the couch. So kudos to him. He's older than me, so like he's just doing it. He's chilling. You know what I mean? He just looks so relaxed. So I love that. I love that because it doesn't look like he's making it look easy, because he's so in control and it's so like, I'm cool. And that's a lot of it to make it look good. Yeah, you can tell these guys are just in shape for the dancing. None of them look out of breath. None of them look like this is hard for them. Woo! Here's another jamboree. Bam! And the ladies have that style, man. They're so swaggy. Look at that, so good. Look at Zelia back then. Love it, man. They're so together. And you know what's funny? They're not together because there are some teams who are really, really together. And this is maybe something of my taste, but there are some teams that look together that almost look mechanical because they're so together that it almost feels like the director over choreographed it in such a way where like I am not trusting you as a dancer to fill this space in. So it almost looks like too robotic, like almost like a cheerleader, right? So I feel like they're together in the sense that they hit certain lines together and then they fill in the space themselves. So yes, I could freeze frame this at any given point of the piece and it'll look like they're off. But when you're watching it as a whole experience, you can see how it's uniform and it still looks good. I mean, right now, look at the girls, look at that freeze frame. They're all off, right? You know, so, but that doesn't matter, honestly, in the grand scheme of things. Um, I had a performance one time and one of my main mentor, we had a big mess up where I forgot a part and I went to a shine or something like that. And I went crazy. I was like in the moment and feeling it. And he's like, dude, that was amazing. And I'm like, man, I was so mad because I effed it up, right? But he said, at the end of the day, our job is obviously to dance for ourselves, but we dance for the public. We're entertaining. So in that regard, you did a good job. So don't trip. And he's right. We're here to entertain at the same time as well as be expressive and be artists. So they're doing a damn good job. I think most of the people there, when they're watching it, they're just like, what the hell? You know, this is so cool. Especially in context, y'all. Think about this. This was 11 years ago. Come on, man. Nobody else is doing stuff like this back then. Mm-mm. And just like it's framed in such a way, I guess Karel became known as like the girl at Yamuleé. And a credit to her because like when you watch her in the pieces that they were involved in, the other girls are really good and they would be standout women in other pieces. But she had a way of drawing attention to herself. And also holding down the fort to make it look strong because you know there's a couple of different ways to play it. Like as a director you can either put the best guy and the best girl and they anchor the whole thing, or you can kind of mix and match and put like the level 9 follow with the level 5 guy and kind of make them a level 8 couple, if that makes sense, or a level 7 couple and try to even it out that way. But I feel like Osmar and Karel held it down because I've seen Yamuleé even more recently in the past couple of years where he's not done a couple of pieces here and there and you could tell his presence is missed. Something about the way he dances it. It's because it's his movement. You know what I'm saying? So the way he feels it. Hold on a second. What is the culprit of all that noise? All right, we're gonna let that go. But anyway, back to the show. All those little touches. On that little house. It's so New York. Love it. I love I love it. I love it. I love it. I can't. You know, it's so funny because if I thought to do that myself, I was about to curse. If I thought to do that and just walk in a circle and just be in a circle chair like that, oh man, I would have never thought to like do that in a choreo. But this is the way they do it, man. This goes to show that it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And if you carry yourself, if you're owning it, then you'll make that thing a thing. You know. So they just made that point a thing. And I'm not gonna lie, I might have borrowed that a couple times in choreo. And if you catch it in a lot of their pieces, they interact with each other, which I think is cool because it looks like they're having fun. Mm. Oh, she's looking like she's feeling that a little bit now. Right before the ending, if you're watching the pieces, I think you should watch if you're a dancer and also like a stage dancer or a director. You should watch not only the way that the pieces look for musicality, but I think you should watch the technique of how they're doing things because it used to be a big thing that I struggled with. I'm like, I can never get the girl to spin so fast. And it was because I was doing the thing like this, right? So just watching and taking classes and learning. I mean, I still take class all the time. So it's worth watching and seeing how they execute these movements. Mm. We're gonna watch that again. Look at that. Ah, little off formation. Doesn't even matter. Look at the people. That's what it's all about right there. That's what it's all about right there. I remember Osman. Sometimes he, because a lot of times I've seeked his counsel when I'm just trying to pick someone's brain who's been in the game and doing things, and I've asked him, and he would say some stuff like, sometimes you just tiene que ver lo que te gusta público, tiene que ver lo que gusta público. Like you have to see what the public likes, right? So a lot of times the most random thing, you'll spend all this time doing some crazy ass trick, and then the girls hitting a line will get the crowd audience. It's really, again, going back to that way of selling what you're doing as opposed to just doing something crazy. So these are all good lessons to be learned as a director, as a choreographer, as a dancer, like finding breath in things, being in shape enough to execute these choreos to not look like it's hard and all that good stuff. So that is one of my favorite pieces from Yamuleé, but pretty much there's very few pieces of theirs that I don't consider in my favorites. So I'm going to be going through all of them, and you guys can hear me talk about it. But in the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Till the next time. Bye.